Hello, friends. Welcome to Communication Skills for Everyone. If you are watching this channel first time, please subscribe. In this video, let us learn the summary of the poem The Human Seasons by John Keats. So, this poem, The Human Seasons, was written by John Keats, right? This is first so when we look at this poem, the first two verses, right, especially this two verses explains, right, this poems explains, right, stanzas explain the poem here, the presents different stages of life, right hand of the poet. In the passage of the year is measure, which can do, right, which can be filled with four seasons, right. So it shows four seasons fill the measure of the year, right. Four seasons represent the mind of man. So the four seasons, how they represent mind of man. So in this say, when we move to the second couplet, so the poet also presents the man has a different outlook for every season of life, right. So in the first stanza, it talks about the mind of man. Similarly, the different outlook for every season of life. Like for example, spring is described, right. Spring is described as the first stage of the year, first stage of the year, which is very short and happy, right. Very short and happy. This is compared to the first period of our lives, like childhood. So say childhood all are innocent. This period from birth till childhood is a period when everything is beautiful and lusty, and for every child it is almost the beginning of a bright and shiny future. Childhood, right, in childhood period is generally featured or characterized by physical stamina, innocence, tremendous appetite for fun and play, and a strong desire for the outdoors. And we all miss our childhood days. Like similar during the spring season, which is the childhood of man's life, so we are healthy, our minds are fresh, and everything seems to be possible, right. During the childhood period, we are carefree and free of thoughts, and we take in all the beauty with an easy span, with no compulsion or force. So Keats has personified spring as lusty to draw a parallel, right. This is a kind of between the youthful state of mind and spring. But this is like a kind of youthful state of mind and the spring. The next, he has summer. He has his summer, right. When we move to the third couplet, so the second stage of human or man life, right, which is youth. So youth is compared to the summer season. Youth is compared to summer season because it is marked by pleasantness, blooming vegetation, and is the season of fertility and immense harvest, right. This season is especially it's give a kind of blooming vegetation which give a kind of fertility, and also we have a lot of harvest. Similarly, youth is marked by the end of childhood, right. Once childhood ends, the innocence, and then it starts the youth. So in this stanza displays, right, it displays spring and summer. They have a kind of relation with each other. So youth is a glorious age of one's life, and it is the beginning of self consciousness, and also high spirits of relationships, right. High spirit of relationship. We decide which path to take in life and make plans to settle down, right. Youth is the important stage. This suggests, right, that also the times of our life do not simply pass. So each season is related to the previous one, and the progression is slow, gradual. So our mind is, right, our mind is a kind of reflection, and it gave a kind of relation to the past and present. So when we approach, when we are moving from childhood to adulthood, so we are no longer lusty, and we can recall sweet memories of our childhood. So that's what it talks in this couplet 3. When we move to couplet 4, to ruminate, to ruminate, and by such dreaming high is nearest unto heaven, quite covers, right? This is one where cover. So Keat talks about ruminate thoughts. So which means we are able to think about what we have done in our childhood, as our mind is a reflection. Similarly, the thoughts can be reflected on with more clarity, right? We get more clarity on it. So these thoughts, so man can be completely happy, and he also gains a sense of enlightenment that is nearest unto heaven. So while growing nearer to heaven, he enters the quiet cows of autumn, right? Cows of autumn, he says. When we move to the next couplet, like 5 and 6, his soul has in its autumn, his soul has in its autumn, when his wings he furleth, right? The close contented so to look, till this next two couplets talks about this third stage of human life, right? Third stage of human life is, what is that? Middle age, right? This middle age is compared to autumn season, which suggests some emotional closure, a kind of resignation into one's own thoughts, right? A kind of this is a comparison between autumn and middle age. The lion soul in its autumn, and furleth close its wings suggest, right? The wings suggest the ability to harness powers of higher imagination, right? There's also a kind of the wiser years of later adulthood, as we enter the autumn season, right? Once we enter into the autumn season, we learn the truth of life. Okay, we realize the truth of life, and we also understand the right things. So yeah, where a man in this stage, like in stage, is no longer interested to participate in every activity or thought around him, because then when he was in childhood, he wanted to do everything, but once he moves to middle age, so he is no longer interested in. So here the poet used the phrase, right, threshold brook, so which means, right, in this like abstract things, and it talks about the man at this stage is contented to allow things to pass by, thereby attaining complete closure of mind, complete closure of mind. So when we move to the next couplet, he has his winter, he has his winter, he has his winter to a fail misfeature, or else he would forego his mortal nature. The last this is the last stage of a man's life, right? Which is, what is the last stage of man's life? That is old age. So here, which is old age is compared to the season winter. So it reminds, right, it reminds us the mortal nature of man, right? Here the fail misfeature, right here, which also gives like man's physical appearance, right? Man's physical appearance becomes fail, right? Which means the physical strength begins to fall, right? There is no strength at all at old age. There is no strength at all. The energy which he used to have is no longer there, right? No energy. So he doesn't look that fresh, right? In childhood, so he's fresh, he's energetic, he's all this. But at this stage, what happens? People become mentally prepared to leave the world, right? So they know that they are going about to leave the world that is for death, right? Death is inevitable. Death is inevitable. No one stops it. It's everyone's destiny. At the end, everyone has to end their life with death. So, as winter season closes the year, similarly, old age closes our life on earth to eternal rest. So, this was the human seasons summary. Thank you for watching. Subscribe Communication Skills for Everyone for more academic and educational videos.